Kennedy. This is BBC Radio Berkshire.
Even then, 5:17, the Streatley Youth Hostel has provided affordable accommodation for young people to visit the area since the 1930s, and some locals aren't happy that it's up for sale. The YHA, that's the Youth Hostel Association, says it plans to reluctantly sell Hill House, which is by two national trails, as maintaining their network of hostels to an adequate standard is simply not affordable. Rob Jones, a local resident and part of the Stop the Sale of Streatley YHA. Rob, hello to you.
Hi, Phil. Hi, thanks for phoning.
So why are you so passionate about the hostel staying open?
Well, it was bequeathed by a Mrs. Florence Rice to the YHA in 1935, and she had actually been running it as an informal hostel at the time, and she continued to live somewhere else in Goring and watched the development of the hostel until she passed away in 1949. And it really would be completely against the spirit of her gift for the youth hostel now to be sold, because actually it's a very, very profitable youth hostel. It made over £50,000 profit last year, and it had 9,000 visitors. And as you say, being on the crossroads of two national trails is absolutely unique. And the nearest other youth hostels are either in Beaconsfield or alternatively in Oxford. So being on these national trails is absolutely critical that we do maintain the future of the youth hostel.
So there's no argument in any way, shape or form that it's, people aren't using it, it's not very popular, it's not making any money, it's costing us in that way, shape and form?
No, I mean, in actual fact, it is very profitable. It is very popular. And in 2018, the youth hostels made an operating surplus of £4.1 million. So it's a very wealthy charity, and it perplexes many of us as to why the Youth Hostel Association should be choosing to sell such a wonderful asset.
Right, you're right on the, literally you are on the border. The Thames is there, there's Streatley, there's Goring. So what does it provide for the local area as a hostel?
Well, it's affordable accommodation really, because amazingly enough, within an hour of Reading, there are 17 million people. And so whilst the Youth Hostel Association has huge numbers of hostels, quite rightly, in the Lake District and the Peak District, really to have a youth hostel on the doorstep in the Thames Valley makes it so accessible for so many people. And in this day and age, we really should be thinking more about sustainability and travelling and holidaying locally. And the youth hostel in this location is just a tremendous asset, which we really should strive to keep and develop, not sell off to a developer.
Yes, you've got the station there, haven't you? Of course, you just go across the river. So looking at the history of this, I think was it the 1990s, there was a chance, or somebody was trying to sell it again. Once again, I assume it's the YHA. Clearly, that was overturned, right, that idea.
Yeah, in 1990, they again said they couldn't afford to maintain it. And so the granddaughter of the lady who gave the building to the YHA in the first place, she started a campaign and managed to secure £50,000 worth of funding from what was the Countryside Commission. In those days, they were responsible for the national trails. And with that, it provided a new lease of life for the youth hostels. So at tonight's meeting, when we're launching a campaign to save the youth hostels, it's ironical that we've got the great-granddaughter of Florence Rice coming with her father to support this second campaign. And of course, she was always hoping that such a campaign would never be necessary, but ironically, it's proved to be.
Okay, and YHA, let's hear from them, because they say in a statement they want to keep Streatley as a youth hostel, but it's in need of significant investment, which for YHA is financially unsustainable in the long term. They say they've got to manage their assets to maximise the positive impact we have on society, because they're a charity. So would you say it needs some investment? You must do after the amount of use it's had and the age of it.
No, we actually had a meeting with the YHA last month, and they disclosed that they have not commissioned any form of surveyor's report as to what capital maintenance requirements are required of the hostel other than day-to-day running costs. They've produced some hypothetical figures on what a youth hostel might need in terms of maintenance over the next 10 years. And even on their own figures, it was a maximum of £500,000 to be spent over the next 10 years. And it doesn't take a great mathematician to work out that if they're making £50,000 a year profit from that single youth hostel, which they are, over a period of 10 years, that can be funded from their own resources.
Just finally, they add they've been working with the local community to explore opportunities for a partnership approach. Has that happened?
Well, yes, actually, we've introduced them to a number of different funding options, whether it's the Children's Conservation Board or the National Trails offices. There are various sources of funding available that we could actually use to develop the youth hostel. So it becomes, for example, a hub and a visitor centre for the two national trails, and possibly also like a cycle cafe. But so far as we're aware, the YHA has not taken any steps to positively engage with those opportunities for funding from third parties. But we certainly hope they do consider that in a more positive way.
Public meeting then is Goring Village Hall then tonight at 7. It's really good to speak to you, Rob. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sure we'll get more on that in the days and weeks to come. It's